Last time we started the new series titled Barama, and the introductory passage gave us the message. किरत करम के विछड़े कर कृपा मेलो राम. We talked about the concept of time both from the physical perspective as well as from the mystical perspective. And we discovered that the mystic does not look at the time the same way we normally look at. For a mystic, the time is an intersection of space and time, a moment. And the mystic does not try to catch the moment, because that is an impossibility. We discovered that when somebody tells you, live in the moment, you suddenly discover that you really cannot do that. It is an impossibility. Because to live in the moment, you have to catch the moment. To live in the moment, you have to define the moment. And there is nothing momentary in the nature. It is a continuous flow without any break. So what does the mystic do then? Then mystic looks at the inner state of existence. What is my now condition inside? Mystic is not worried about is it 12:01 or 10:01. Mystic doesn't care, because that is the external time. The internal time is related with your state of being at that very moment. And because it is a movement and it changes from time to time, mystic never ever freezes itself in time. I would like you to let this thought permeate into your being. It will solve a lot of your problem in just this. Time is a state of being at a moment. And the moment shifts and it changes continuously. Now you can solve the problem of, well, you told me you will be with me for the rest of your life. Now think about that. You said that and you meant that with all cells in your body, but at that moment. And now you are trying to step into the water that is flowing continuously. You are trying to step back in. You say, you once said that. You say, yes, of course I did. Then where are you going now? The inner has changed. Or you mean you cannot hold on to your promise? No, I did hold on to my promise at that moment. I meant every single syllable of this. As long as the time inside did not make me aware of the shift, I remained. Now, if you look at this from the humanistic relationship, there would never be any discussions, argument, fights, disagreements. Because we now recognize in us and the other, time is a movement. Had the shift taken place exactly the same way in both, there will be no gap. Unfortunately, that's not how the nature is designed. One shift in this direction, the other shifts in this direction. Instead of staying together, they are going further and further and further apart. We never stop for a moment and pay attention to these things. This is only possible when you are in meditative states. You realize these eternal truths only in meditative states. With mind and logic, you cannot solve these problems, you cannot see the mystery, and you cannot appreciate the mystery. Only a mystic does. That's why when you go to see a mystic, he has a smile on his face, and you get up and say goodbye, and he has a smile on his face. Because he knows there is a shift inside the mystic and the one who came to see the mystic. And that shift is not caused by the human, but it is a design of the nature. It's caused by the nature, so there is nobody to be blamed. Why are you changing your mind all the time? No, I'm not changing the mind, I'm the same. No, I don't think so. You are just trying to be politically correct. You can spend the rest of your life arguing and fighting about these issues, and you will not find the solution. That is why we have the experience that we start valuing something immediately after we lose it. Something, the shift we did not recognize and accept and appreciate when the person was right in front of us. The moment the person is removed from the equation, an immediate, instantaneous awareness. This happens in the joint families very, very clearly. You can see that there is an old man or a woman, family is tired of them, frustrated with them, their habit patterns are unpredictable. They even say he or she has turned into another child, stubborn and doesn't listen to anything and keep on repeating his or her own things. when the hell will he die? And now, that moment comes when they have just taken that individual to the mortuary, taken care of the body. Now they come home and they find that little bed empty. And they suddenly realize, wow, we are left with no protection. There was a physical body who was watching everybody come in and come go. A sudden awareness of the usefulness of something that was completely useless. Why is that? A sudden shift inside. That realization is not from outside. The husband and wives suddenly have to adjust their schedule. Now, grandpa is not here anymore. So, who's going to keep the door open for the children when they come from the school? Who's going to come early from the office? Oh, so grandpa did have a purpose. Why wasn't that purpose very, very clear when he was alive? Shift in consciousness. And we talked about that last week. That the months and year and weeks only mean something as a utilitarian function to the civil society in the outer dimension. Otherwise, the time does not exist. For a mystic, it is a movement, and the mystic tries to look at the movement for internal evolution. So what was the first movement in the journey of the soul? Kirat-karam ke bichde, the separation. That's one point in journey of consciousness. Then what is the next point? The next point is sudden awareness that I am now separate and I need to find the way to join together again. I need to journey back. But how do I go about? There is no map. There are no instructions. How do I get back? The next point in the consciousness, word used for that is Chayt. In Punjabi calendar, Chayt is the first month. Roughly March in the Gregorian calendar. That's where they start. Why is that a start? Even in this country, you know that the month of March starts announcing the change. The winter is receding back and the spring is on the horizon, making the announcement a change is coming. That is why United States remind their entire population by shifting the time an hour back or forward. That's a shift. But we have never looked at it that way. We never think of that way. A shift is coming. Get ready. March has come. Chayt. But the mystic is not looking at the month Chayt. Mystic is looking at Chaitanta, the awareness, Chayt. In our language, when we ask somebody, do you remember? We say, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਚੇਤਾ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ? ਚੇਤਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ? ਚੇਤਾ ਚੇਤਨਤਾ ਕੀ ਤੇਰੀ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ? Is this in your consciousness? Is this within the realm of your memory? What? ਕਿਰਤ ਕਰਮ ਕੇ ਵਿੱਚ. Is this in your awareness that you are now separate? A certain wall exists, a certain boundary exists between what you call I and he. There is a barrier. Is this in your awareness at all? If it is in your awareness, if it is a part of your Chaitanta, then this thought will arise in you automatically. Because if the separation is not realized, then the urge to meet does not exist. If you don't feel the separation, why would you want to meet? Right? If you don't miss somebody, how do you miss somebody? Because that is in the memory. Something in the memory, but not physically close, that's we call, I miss you. A mystic never miss. Why? Because meeting at the flesh level has no value, has no importance. Meeting at the spiritual level is the only concern. That is why the true lovers are mystics, not humans. Because a human only feel loved when it is communicated through the flesh. Whenever I receive a call from any one of my colleagues, friends, neighbors, and automatically smile spreads on my face. Because all of our history is immediately running inside. Where I met, how we met, what are our common interests, why we are separate, why I am here in Los Angeles and somebody is in New York or somebody in India. I don't just jump on the plane and say, I miss you, I'm coming to see you. The poet Ghalib wrote a beautiful line. He says, दिल के आईने में है तस्वीर यार, जब नजर झुकाई बस देख ली. Let me translate it. In the mirror of my heart is the shadow of my lover. Whenever I miss my lover, I close my eye, I look into the mirror, and I see her. Dil ke aina. Aina means the mirror. Dil means heart. Dil ke aine mein hai. What is in there? Tasveer-e-yaar. The picture of my lover. तो मैं क्या करता हूं? What do I do? जब नजर झुकाई, when I lower my gaze, look inside, तो देख ली. Then I meet her. I see her. End of the story. There is no more need to pull out a piece of paper and write down, I miss you, honey. What do you mean you miss me, honey? Don't say that. If you want to be truthful, then say, I miss your flesh and its softness and its touch. You don't miss me because I am already with you. If my thoughts are with you, how come I am not with you? So if you are aware of this, if this is in your chetanta, Chayt, if it isn't there, something is going to take place automatically. If it is not taking place, that means you are only talking of the physical. I went to the church, but I didn't see the cross. Jesus there. There was a statue over there. Sir, if you went to see Jesus in the church, you already missed him. You should have just closed your eyes and see him. The reason you did not see him, because he is not in your heart. He is not in your chit. It's not in your chetanta. It's not in your memory. Chayt govind araaDhee-ai. Then this miracle is going to take place. If it is in the chetanta, Chayt, then govind araaDhee-ai. Govind means the creative energy. araaDhee-ai means to chant his name. Because if you are aware that you are separate, you are going to try to go back, and going back can become possible only by araaDhee-ai. Isn't that amazing? How logical it is. If you don't even remember somebody, how are you going to meet somebody? Where will be the urge? For to meet somebody, it has to be in your chetanta. It has to be in your cheta. It has to be in your memory bank. It has to be stored somewhere. If a file isn't stored, how can you bring it back to work on it? It has to be in the storage first. What is here the storage? Chayt, cheta, chetanta, memory. And if you start working on that memory bank the right way, you don't need to ask anybody, am I right? Am I doing it the right way? No. Just observe this, which is hovai anand ghanaa, extreme pleasure, bliss, extreme peace, anand, enjoyment. If you are working the right way, then this reaction is a must. And if this is not happening, then there is something wrong in your either chetanta or your process to get back to him. Chayt govind araaDhee-ai hovai anand ghanaa. Ghanaa means extreme. Anand means the pleasure, enjoyment. Then what is the right way? The next line says, sant janaa milaa-ay. Look for those who have been there. Those are called sant janaa. Those who've been there, done that, and know all the ups and downs and the stumbling blocks and the deceptions and the detours and the illusions that will be created on the way. Sant janaa milaa-ay rasnaa naam. What would the sant janaa, those who've been there, how do you know you are meeting the sant janaa? How do you know that? Look, every line has the question and the answer hidden same place. First half of the line says sant janaa milaa-ay. Okay, fine. I'll start looking for sant. How do I know I found it? Next word says rasnaa, naam, bhanaa. Rasnaa means that energy which enjoys. Ras means the taste. The tongue has the taste buds. By itself, tongue is just a muscle. You put something on the taste bud, they take the natural water in the mouth, what we call saliva. They mix that with that water. As soon as the water and what you put on your tongue is mixed, a signal is sent to someone through the brain, and somebody who's sitting behind the brain. This is all the hardware and software. This is the machinery and the electrical current. But the driver of the machinery is neither the tongue nor the taste bud. The one who tells you this is sweet, this is salty, this is sour, this is bitter, the one who describes that is rasnaa. The one who is actually experiencing it. Your tongue doesn't taste. Wrong terminology. The taste is not in the brain. Again, wrong terminology. Brain has certain circuits turned on and turned off. That's it. If you ask the doctor, he can take the scan of your brain and tell you this area is a lot more active because the blood is flowing over here. Okay, fine. What does it mean? Because a certain area of the brain is getting more blood, does it mean I am tasting bitter salts? Which one? Doctor cannot tell you. The doctor has no awareness. Where is this interpreter? We can call it consciousness, okay. We can call it Atman, okay. But where is it? It's unknown. So how do you know you have met the sant? The sant will point you toward the rasnaa, the ravi-aa, the taster, not your tongue. That's why we keep saying, just repeating the word is not going to do anything for you. You have to listen. You have to wake up the listener. Ear is not the listener. It is a machinery and equipment which take the airwaves on which the sound is traveling. It is taking that wave, striking a certain drum called eardrum, making it vibrate. Then there are inner nerves which are taking these vibrations and converting them into electrical pulses, which is traveling over your nervous system into your brain and communicating. Here is a air wave coming to you in the form of electricity, and that's it. That's the total job of your body. And the brain takes that electricity, activates certain part of your audio system, which the listener behind that setup is receiving and sending you back the information saying, this is what you have heard. So when you meet a sant, he would not be a doctor, and he would neither be a philosopher nor a scientist. He will be a mystic who will point you toward the mystery of rasnaa, the one who's tasting, the one who's hearing, the one who's really interpreting, one who's making all the sense for you. You can have the phone to the ear, the finger on the magazine, glass in your hand, and still nobody is confused. Touch remains the touch, taste remains the taste, hearing remains the hearing, simultaneously. And all different part of what we call brain or nervous system, they are activated. But who is making the distinction between all 5 inputs taking place at the same time? Who is that observer? If somebody is talking to you about that observer, then you have met a sant jan. Otherwise, you may have met an expert in certain areas, or a philosopher, or an argumentator who can just drive you in circles. So if you are on the path, Chayt govind araaDhee-ai, hovai anand ghanaa, sant janaa paa-ee-ai, rasnaa, naam, bhanaa, then the sant will point you toward that naam, that word. He will give you that secret which will help you to start realizing that observer inside you. And you will stop blaming anybody about anything. In this country, a while long back, before most of the children were born, there was a comedian called Flip Wilson, a black comedian. And he made a ton of money by making fun of all of his escapades by saying, I didn't do it, devil made me do it. He found a perfect blame machine, very well known to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So he had his ground covered. He knew that 99% of the television watching population will buy that. I am not doing it, the devil is making me do it. Where does this market exist and why does it sell? It sells because it does not demand any change in you. It doesn't require any change in you. Why? Because I didn't do it. What should I change? Devil made me use it. So go fight with the devil and have him change his habits. A mystic will never ever say, the devil made me do it. He will say, that part of me which is a devilish, I have not yet overcome. That is causing all these things. Who? Me. Who in you? That one which is attached with the devilish nature. A mystic will not define a devil outside, look for a devil outside, or claim that there is a devil outside. But the synagogues, the churches, and the mosques will tell you, devil made you do it. Say 20 rosaries, put $500 in the kitty, and swear that you won't do it again. And if you do it again, come back for the confession. The whole life, the drama goes on. But a sant janaa would not tell you that. What would that tell you? Sant janaa paa-ee-ai, rasnaa, naam, bhanaa, jine paaya parabh aapnaa, aaye tiseh ganaa. Why would he not tell you that? Because he knows the secret. What secret? jinne paa-aa parabh. I tiseh ganaa. Only that life is successful and the real life which has been able to go back and meet him from where they separated. He knows that secret. Jinne paa-aa parabh aapnaa. Jinne means anyone. Paa-aa means have achieved. Parabh means the ultimate creator. Those who have met their own maker, I tiseh ganaa. I means to take birth. Tiseh ganaa means in any importance. That life that has been able to achieve this, which is going back. Why? Kit-rhaa vich, because he realized I'm separated. And if they realize that, have they been able to meet him, now the life is of some value. Because he knows that, he would not tell you, you don't have to change, the devil did it. He will say, go look for the devil in you. And when you ask, Master, how am I going to look the devil in me? And he'll say, whenever there is an urge of satisfying the sensual delights, that urge is called devil. Why, Master? Because the sensual delights are continuously putting you back into the outside world. It's not letting you get into the rasnaa, the ravi-aa, the real taste. It's putting you in touch with your skin, your ear, your eyes, your nose, your tongue. It is basically saying, stay here, taste them, enjoy them. You don't have to do anything different because you are not responsible. The devil is. He knows the secret. He would not tell you that. What would he do? Once again, sant janaa milaa-ay rasnaa naam bhanaa. He will point you to the taster. Why? Because he knows this. Jinne paa-aa parabh aapnaa, I tiseh ganaa. Only those are of any value, only those lives are of any importance who have actually personified that creator from within. Because he has seen the both sides. That's why he is a sant jan. Once upon a time, he was like you. Today, he is very much unlike you. He has been in there, done that. Where has he been? Ik khin bin jeevnaa, birthaa, janam. He knows that. That even a moment of separation from the one you love is the most painful and waste of time. We have used this example many times. If you go to pick up somebody at the airport and they tell you the plane is going to be late, what do you call that time that you have to wait there? Don't you say, I just wasted so much time here unnecessarily. I wish I had known. I would not have left the home that early. I wish I had checked up on the internet. Isn't it? Isn't that time a waste? Means what? You are separated. That separation time is a waste. The real mystic knows how great a waste that is. The word for that in our language is birthaa, without any use. Wasteful. Ik khin tiseh bin jeevnaa. Even a moment's separation without meeting your lover is birthaa janam janaa. If the life is being spent separated from him, then the life is a waste. Just as waiting for your lover at the airport, that time is a waste. This is also the traveling, isn't it? Think about it. Aren't we all astronauts traveling in space? Is it not? What is our spaceship? Called Earth. The spaceship traveling at the speed of 68,000 miles an hour around the sun and 1800 miles around its own axis. But when we send the people to the space, we have to make sure they have special suits and they are tethered or tied up so that they don't fly out into the space. Look at the arrangement he made. A spaceship travels the maximum speed of 17,500 miles an hour. The Earth is traveling at 68,000 miles an hour. None of us fly out. Look at his arrangement. And the silly scientists are saying, oh, this is all natural laws. There is no one doing this. These are laws of nature. Please find me a scientist who can define this word, nature. And where did this come from? I don't want to know where God came from. I don't want to talk about if God exists. I want to talk the language of a scientist. Natural laws of selection. The whole theory of evolution is based on the natural laws of selection. The books are full of that. If any one of you can go home, do some research, and please teach me what the word natural means in this whole sentence. I will be forever grateful. Why? Where did this come from? Because the next line is reminding us. thal mahee-al poori-aa, ravi-aa, vich, bhanaa. Whose separation are we talking about? And the answer comes back, jal, thal, mahee-al. Jal means water, thal means the land. Mahee means in awe. Rav means manifested in everything. Jal, thal, mahee-al, poori-aa. Ravi-aa, vich, bhanaa. One means the forest, jungle. the separation of the traveler entity from that entity which is all pervading. If you meet a Sufi mystic, they will tell you that all they need from Quran is Bismillah-Rahman-Rahim, and that's done. There are people of the faith sitting here. Bismillah-Rahman-Rahim. What does it mean? Sufi says the Quran is done. Bismillah. Creator of all created. The simplest, but you can go into the nuances of this Arabic. Rahman, Rahman word comes from Rahm. Rahm means to have compassion for somebody, a pity on somebody. Rahim, the one who always has it, has always had it, will always have it. The most simplified form, God the merciful. And that's it. There is no more need to read anything. That is the message of Quran. All pervading, always had it, always will. Rest is all politics. Social, legal, economic, but the spiritual message is done. If you don't believe me, there is a free Quran with the translation, and there are 4 translations of the same book by 4 different authors. They are all on the internet. You can read all of them in English. Jal, thal, mahee-al, poori-aa. This is saying Bismillah-Rahman-Rahim. The one who is all pervasive, including the land, the water, and the forest, and the entity has been separated and is living in an eternal pain of separation. Only for those who have this in their chetanta, in the memory. Not for those who don't. If you, at least in India it is very common, I don't know here, I have not experienced it, not that it is not here. But when there are large crowds, there is a festival going on, the small children will get curious and will not keep the company with the parents, and they will be lost in the crowd. And there is an organization called, which is like Red Cross, there is called Seva Samiti. Those people have special volunteers set up to pick these children and bring them to a central spot and then wait for their parents to come and collect them. Now imagine the story of a child who is lost, separated from the parent and is crying. The volunteer comes and picks up the child and says, "What is your name?" "Babu, Bittu." "What's your father's name?" "I don't know." "What's your mother's name?" "I don't know. But I want to go to my father. I want to go to the mother." And he's not stopping crying. They say, "Okay, you don't know the name. Where do you live?" "I don't know the address. But I want to go to my father. I want to go to my mother." "What's the name of your village?" "I don't know. But I want to go to my father. I want to go to my mother." All he's doing is crying and is saying, "I don't know anything. Just take me to my parents." What should the volunteer do? What do you think they do?
Announce.
They take the microphone and put in the face of the crying child. And the parents hear the sound of their own child crying. And they know where to go and get him or her. Because announcements or anything is not going to help. What will they announce? What child of which village, which street, which address? What will they announce? Now forget about them. Think about yourself now. Aren't you separated from your father? What is the name of your father? Do you know where he lives? But you are not crying. Because I brought some toy and gave it to you. And I stopped crying. Would they do the same thing to that child who is either eating the sweets or playing with the toys? Would the volunteer worry about the child who is already busy playing? The answer is obvious. If you are not crying, nobody is helping you. If you are not in pain, nobody is helping you. Now think about yourself. Are you crying for him? Or are you busy playing with the toys and the sweets that he has given you? Or are you crying? If you are crying, then this will happen. Sant janaa paa-ay. If you are crying, now you are ready and the master will come. And he will help you. He will even tell you the address. He will tell you the name of your father. Because it's the same father he has. It is the same home he has already visited. And he will take you too there. But he cannot take you there or point you in that direction if he is giving you another toy. Which is what we always get. You go to one master, he says, say Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. And the second master comes in, no, drop the who. That's only for the Sufis. You just say Allah, 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 Allah. And the third one comes and says, drop that also. There's no need, just sit quietly. He already knows I am Allah. You don't need to remind him. As many masters, as many ways. And they will justify. Somebody opened a new shop selling fish. And he put a sign on his business. Fresh fish sold here. Somebody walked by and he said, new business. Yeah, I just opened it yesterday. Tell me something. Does anybody sell a fish that is rotten? He said, what do you mean? Well, I see you write fresh fish. Can the rotten fish also be sold? He said, no. So then what's the idea of fresh fish? Only fresh fish can be sold. You are absolutely right. He took the sign down, crossed fresh. Fish sold here. Another one came around. He said, you must be the most ignorant person in the world, because before I entered this street, I could smell that there is a fish shop somewhere here. What do you mean fish sold here? I already know that. Just because fish is spreading the smell all over the place. He said, you're right. He took the sign down, crossed the fish. Now there is sold here. Another one comes. Say, have you gone mad? Does anybody give anything free? It's always sold. He pulls the sign down, crosses the sold. Now it is only here. Another one comes around. He said, of course you are here. Where else are you going to go? He pulls the sign down and throws it away. And somebody says, what happened to your sign? He said, I was trying to make the world happy. That's what the masters do. We try to make the masters happy, and everyone comes and crosses a word from our life and say, don't do this, do that. They are all like those customers who neither want to buy anything, they just want to critique. They just want to find faults with the other. A Sant Jan doesn't do that. Why? Because he knows this. Ek khiritis bin jeevnaa, birthaa, janam, janaa. A separation even of a moment is a waste of life. Separation from who? Thal, mahee-al, poori-aa, ravi-aa, vich, bhanaa. The one who's all pervasive. Bismillah-ar-Rahman-ar-Rahim. So parabh chit na hovai, kit-rhaa dukh gala. We started with Chayt. The word Chit has come back and said, those who do not have this in their chetanta, in their chit, if their state of mind does not contain that memory, then they have already accepted the life of pain. Whether it is physical or mental, it does not matter. Jinni ravi-aa so prabhu tinna bhagamana. And those who have this in their memory and they are doing something to remove that distance between them and their home base, then they are the real lucky ones. Bhag literally means destiny. Har darshan ko man lojda, nanak pyas mana. Those who have this in memory, they have only one more desire left. And what is that desire? Har darshan, to meet him, to bring him out from the hiding. because their real hunger, their real thirst, their real yearning of the senses is not of a different type of drink. Their drink is only, let me come back to you. And if they do that, then Chayt milaa-ay so prabhu tiske paa-ay laga. It is that chetanta, it is that memory from where the first step is taken. The journey starts with your memory, your chetanta, which experiences the separation, which feels the separation. The one who feels the separation, he will feel the pain for it. One who feels the pain for it, he will start crying for it. One who starts crying for him, the volunteer will come to guide him. Those are the sant jan. So that is the story of starting off, taking off the first step toward that journey. That's hymn number 2 on page 133. And we'll take a pause here. God willing, we'll continue the journey next week. Now, if there is any comment or question, the lines are still open.